Well, welcome back. This is Mike from NW Outpost. I just want to start off with this review. I mentioned this is a self-sponsored review. I paid out of pocket 100% for my Champion 7-ton portable log splitter. Now, this thing is a really small log splitter, but it has some benefits. It's super compact, can be stored in an outbuilding without taking up much room. It's fairly quiet, fuel efficient, and it's one of the cheapest, most affordable, I should say, gas-powered log splitters on the market. So stick around and enjoy the video. So this video is laid out in about 3 parts, so you can kind of fast forward and get to whatever part you prefer the most. First off is unboxing and assembly of the log splitter and some tips on that. Second part is how well it works and what to expect from it, what kind of logs you can split with it, really testing it out. And third is going over who I think this fits the best and what application this log splitter is ideal for. It's not right for everybody, but we'll go over that and maybe it'll fit right for you. And if not, there's plenty of other log splitters on the market, so enjoy the video. So let's talk price. I'm sure some of you are interested in that. When I bought it, it was $600 with free freight shipping from Amazon. Links below if you want to check out what the current price is. I'm sure some of these things are going to fluctuate. I thought it was a pretty good price. The packaging was good. No holes knocked in the box. Wasn't missing any components, so that's a win. The engine that comes with it is an 80cc 4-stroke engine, so no mixing gas like a 2-stroke. But I do recommend adding some fuel stabilizer or even running some ethanol-free fuel. Definitely consider that. It's going to make your engine run a lot better and longer. Don't have to deal with any plugged up carburetors. It's got a 2-stage hydraulic pump, and it's got a 3-inch ram with the auto return valve on the control. And all these components are actually pretty good priced for the $600 kit, because I built a log splitter from scratch a long time ago, about 8 years ago, and it works great. But keep in mind, like, just the cylinder, valve, and hoses for that machine are going to be about $350 to $400. That doesn't include the metal, the engine, and the hydraulic pump, and some of the other fittings and things needed. So at a $600 low log splitter, I know it's not the most robust. It's really small, but it's actually fairly powerful. We'll get into that in a bit. So, okay, let's get back to the assembly. It does have actually a pretty interesting little feature with the wedge. When you're looking over some of the components I'll point out here, the wedge is actually welded at a steep angle, not straight up and down, and this actually forces more energy to the top of the wedge and starts the cut on the log without forcing the whole blade into it at one time. So it kind of adds more pounds per square inch into the wedge at one location, so you're not trying to split the whole wedge through the log at one time. So here's the little reservoir. Here's the fittings. They're all in the back where they're nice and safe, tucked out of the way. Pretty good little kit. Putting this whole thing together really took me about a half an hour after I got everything out of the box, so it's pretty straightforward. All right, so let's get assembling this thing. Pretty simple. Slide the wheels onto the axles, washer, cotter pin. Now I'm just getting ready to bolt the axle assembly to the main reservoir frame. I do like how this thing's engineered, how the main frame that supports everything is also the hydraulic reservoir. It holds about, 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons. Really simple. Bolting the front foot on here. Flipping it over, gonna mount the engine now. It's, like I said, an 80cc engine. It's pretty light, so getting the thread started on that. The hardware is pretty simple, self-explanatory on this whole process. Like I said, it was about a half an hour job once I got all the stuff unboxed. Torquing those down, and I think next we're gonna be mounting up the cylinder. I do like how the cylinder mounts. It mounts with this one big pin assembly here, so it's not mounted on the back. It's kind of floating on this pin. These bolts here, I added a little bit of Loctite to them because I don't want them backing out. Pretty basic. Valve and all the hoses are already connected to the valve assembly. Hooking up the handle. Handle feels a little light duty, a little chintzy, but it still serves the purpose. Here I'm putting the presser foot or whatever you want to call that on there, and didn't want to just slide on by hand, so I took a dead blow rubberized hammer and just tapped it on and got it to seat on the end of that hydraulic cylinder. Putting this little tiny handle. As chintzy as that little handle seems, it actually is pretty helpful for pulling the thing around. Came with a little thread sealant for these hydraulic hoses. This is the high pressure side hooking up to the pump. And next one we're going to be hooking up, this is the return line going back to the tank. So after the hydraulic fluid flows out of the cylinder or bypasses through the valve, it goes back into the tank. Pretty simple. Just make sure not to cross that anything and just snug everything down. Here I'm checking all the existing hoses to make sure they're tight. Pop the little plug out of the end of the pump there, keep debris from shipping getting in there. warming up the suction tube because it was a little hard to slide on there. I warmed it up a little bit. I even put a little oil on the actual pump inlet there, and I found what worked the best was just kind of threading and rotating the suction tube onto that pipe inlet. Tighten down the hose clamp. Did the same for the reservoir side. Put a little oil in there to help slide it down there. And this one kind of fought me a little bit too. So what I ended up doing was grabbing some pliers and put them in the end of the hose and expand them a few times, stretch the hose out a little bit, slid it on that, and tighten down the hose clamp. Simple as that. Now just going to add some engine oil to the thing. It came with this nice little convenient funnel. You can run 1020, 1030. I'm just running some 30 weight. And all said and done, after checking the oil a few times, I got it up to about, I think it took about half a quart or a little less than half a quart to fill the engine up and get it ready to run. Now the manual says this thing, you can run ISO 32 hydraulic oil in here, and the manual said it 5.7 quarts, so that's just a little under 1.5 gallons. So kind of nice that it includes a funnel. So I picked up this 2.5 gallon container of ISO 32 hydraulic oil from Tractor Supply. It was just over $20, and that was plenty. I need actually more than I need for the thing, so I'll keep it on the shelf in case it runs low. Top that off, and I probably overfilled it slightly, but the next step we're going to do is I'm going to tilt the thing back after putting the dipstick in here, and I don't have gas in the engine yet. I'm just tilting it back, and I want to prime the pump for the first time, so I'm leaning it back like this and filling up the suction tube with oil and pulled it over about 10-15 times just to prime that pump. Now you can see the oil suction tube is full of oil, and filling up with a little bit of ethanol-free fuel and getting ready to fire this thing up. So let's get trying this thing out and see how well it works. That's nice. It's got a spring return for the kill switch. Does look like I probably overfilled it a hair because there's a little air vent here and it's dripping a little oil. That's fine because the cylinder is going to take some oil, so oil level will probably drop a little bit. But yeah, this is a spring shut off, so it always turns back on. Turn the fuel to on. Choke lever. Looks like that's choke on. That must be choke off. So you give it a few pulls and see if it starts up.
It's kind of like art, you know?
Not the fastest by any means, but it does it.
Yeah, I tried to split that with my axe and it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem.
That's great.
Not the fastest cycle time, but good enough. Either whatever. So this is some big leaf maple, fairly hard wood, and it had no problem cutting through all the knots we split on this thing. As you can see, there's some knots and crotch on there, and it split it no problem. So now it's time to test it on some Douglas fir. This is the butts of some trees, so that's down towards the base. It's really stringy wood, but it's a soft wood. We live in the Northwest and we got a lot of fir trees around here, so splitting it, no problem. It's going right through it. Wish the wedge was a little taller because it only kind of splits into the tree a little bit and you got to flip the log around over. But really, this was bigger logs than it was advertised to be able to handle and split. Split them no problem. So let's be honest, it's definitely not the fastest log splitter out there, but I knew that going into it. I think the manual said something like a 20-second cycle time from the ram extending all the way from in to out to back in again. I think that's pretty accurate. It does actually work pretty good for that little 80cc engine. 3-gallon per minute hydraulic pump, a 3-inch diameter bore. I think it cycles like 18 or 19 inches long. It cuts pretty good though. There's just some stuff I was cutting, there's some knots in it. I had no problem shearing through. This is about 1 inch to 1.5 inch branch knot. It sheared right through, didn't bog it down at all. So the machine actually cuts pretty good like that. And honestly, it's a hell of a lot better than swinging a splitting maul. I've done that too much in my life, and definitely over it. So this thing, I got it up on a trailer. It's a lot better for saving your back. It's really low. I think it's a backbreaker leaving on the ground unless you have some really large log grounds you need to roll onto the thing. So this thing actually split all this Douglas fir, no problem. I don't have a ton of hardwoods. We tried that maple out in the beginning. It had no problem splitting through the crotch and knots on that. But all this was just Douglas fir here in the Northwest. That's where we got hemlock, fir, cedar, things like that. And split this just fine. I don't know how it'd be for like something like hard like hickory. We just don't have that. This log round, though, I want to test the capacity. This is about all I want to lift on this damn splitter here, and it split it no problem at all. One thing I do want to mention, see that splitter foot, the part that's cycling back and forth that pushes on the log round that's at the end of the ram? This thing is captured on the actual hydraulic reservoir rail. It means it kind of goes around it and it's captured. Some of the other cheaper log splitters, they're a few $100s more than this on Amazon, eBay. It was just a splitter foot on the base of the cylinder, but no support capturing that down to the actual reservoir rail at all. And I think those things would have a pretty short lifespan before you actually bent your rod on your hydraulic. So that was another reason why I chose this one. It just had a little bit better build quality. And honestly, even though I haven't ran this thing for very long, I was looking back on old YouTube videos and a lot of people liked them, and reading back reviews for 4 years or so. I think this model's been made for a very long time, and didn't really hear anybody complain about them. People had them for quite a long time and enjoyed them. Also, the older model, which I wish they would have kept this feature, they actually had a 2-inch trailer hitch receiver, so you could probably take your tailgate off your truck and slide this actual splitter partway into the back. It would sit crossways kind of right behind your bumper, so you could split wood and just basically have it stuck in your receiver. Now, I don't know why they took that option off. Somebody probably had some stupid lawsuit or something that came of it, but I thought that was a really cool feature. It's too bad they removed that from a previous model. So here's a close-up of that splitting wedge. You can see how it touches at the top first, and then it splits all the way through the log, puts more pounds per square inch on that splitter, so the whole splitter is not going through at once. Here's another safety feature. I built mine the same way too. When that ram is all the way out, it never goes all the way to the splitting wedge. So I think that's a good feature. I've heard some people complain about that and put like a 2x4 or something on the pusher so it can split all the way up to the wedge. I think it's a good safety feature to have it stop about 2 inches, 1.5 inches before you get to the actual knife cutter. So now we're on to part 3. Definitely we're going to go over who this thing is best for and why. Right here I'm working on a little chunk of property, and I've been getting so tired of running just splitting maul out here when I'm cutting firewood. So I'm working with, I got my little skid steer out here, and I got that log splitter on the trailer that I brought the skid steer out on. And I just wanted to get a bunch of wood cut up and split. And my larger log splitter, it's trailerable, but it's not street legal. And it's a pain. I gotta use a large excavator to load in the back of my truck or put it on a trailer like this. And this thing was easy. I was able to roll it right up the ramp, strap it down, bring my skid steer out here, and just cut a bunch of wood in one shot. So I think it's great for taking to your little remote camp spots. If you're going out, you're gonna be hunting for a long period of time, a hunting camp. I mean, it's tiny. This thing can slide in the back of a truck or on a little trailer, no problem. It's fairly easy and light to roll around. I think if you're going to be splitting 2, 3, 4 cords a year, it's going to be fine. Not going to take up much room in your garden shed or outbuilding when you're not using it. Like I said, use ethanol-free fuel in it, so it's going to start the next year. If you don't have enormous amounts of wood, I don't really recommend splitting much on the ground with it because it is really low. I would say put on a little trailer like this, put in the back of your truck, or just put on a little something that raises it up off the ground a little bit to save your back. But I think if you just do occasional wood burning, you don't really need more than 3 or 4 cords a year. It's a great way to go, especially because if you're on a budget too. That's a big thing. Sky's not the limit. We're not made of money. So $600, you cannot buy these components. I can guarantee you cannot buy these components and fabricate one of these things and all the time involved in it for this price. You may have, like me, you have a good splitter at home, but it's too damn big to move around to other spots. This is something you can take to your buddy's place, let them use for a weekend and get it back. They can split a cord of wood, and it feels reliable enough someone's not going to bust it up just using it. It's like the machine's not going to tear itself apart. So one of the biggest reasons you might be wondering, why did I buy a tiny little 7-ton log splitter when I have a larger one that I've been running for 8 years without any problems? Well, see that skid steer in that video? I got future plans for this log splitter, and like I said, I built one from scratch before. I don't plan on building another one from scratch again, but I'm going to modify this. I want to do this review, let you guys know what I thought about this thing. I think it's a good log splitter. I feel a little bad modifying it, but it's going to be pretty awesome. I'll put that new video with this modified log splitter paired with that skid steer up on my 𝗣𝗶𝗱 channel in the near future. So hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you thought it was helpful. All right, if you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up, leave a like down below. And if you decide to order one of these, order through that link. It does help me out because these videos are not monetized on YouTube. It's a small channel. I'm just trying to do what I can to grow the channel. So thanks for watching. Bye.